How do you know if you're making an excuse? And why aren't you and your dreams worth it? In any and every area of your life where your results don't match what you say you want, you have to find out what your favorite brand of excuse is in that area. Welcome to Motivation Monday, and today we're talking about Maybe It's You, an amazing book where you can cut the crap, face your fears, and love your life by Lauren Handel Zander. Amazing book. And today I want to talk to you all about the section that she writes around excuses and the excuses that you're using that are holding yourself back from living the life that you really want to live. What I love about this book the most is that she very bluntly asks you to claim full personal responsibility for where you're at in your life, to recognize where your reasons are actually excuses and how long you're going to keep putting your power outside of yourself and blaming somebody else, blaming your conditioning, blaming your current circumstances, blaming your upbringing for where you're at, rather than being able to say to ourselves, I'm in full control now, here's what I'm going to choose to do about it. Now, I am not underestimating the power of limiting beliefs. I believe that doing clearing work around all that is super important. But I also think we're at this stage now where it's a really dangerous place for us to be, where everybody wants to talk about the limiting beliefs. Everybody knows what they are. People talk about what's holding them back, what they're scared of, what they fear. And there's not enough of us being able to turn that around to say, okay, I'm aware of that. I see how it's held me back until now. But what am I going to do about it moving forward? And that's exactly what Lauren does in this book. She's asking you to say, how badly do you want change? What are you prepared to do about it? And gives you some really good, tangible exercises and thought-provoking writing that I think can absolutely help you to transform your life. For me, it's about activating awareness of where the limitations might be and where they might come from, but then those are the things that kind of push you forward. And the thing that I love about this here is that she says, do you know how you can tell when you're making an excuse? You do the money test. You ask yourself this: if I gave you $1, $2, or $5 million, whatever number works for you, would you be able to do that thing? Would you be able to get to work on time, drive slower, have less road rage, be nice to your spouse, find a new job, quit sugar, set up a business? Yeah, of course you could. Would you? Well, that's another reason. You see, all of a sudden, given the right incentive, you could change anything in your life. So how come you and your dream aren't worth it? Now, we all know that we are subject to fear, and I'm going to do another video specifically on the pains and the fears that every single person tries to avoid. So make sure you're subscribed and you hit the bell to get notified of that one. But here I want to talk about what she says here about which of the beliefs, the excuses, are you buying into on a regular basis. And she's outlined 8 different excuses that we hear or we tell ourselves over and over again. Let's dive straight in with the first one, where she says the don't care excuse. You convince yourself that you don't want or need whatever it was anyway, such as the new job. It would have been too much work. And the thing is, our minds are so incredibly clever. Our ego identity, our limiting identity, will find you a myriad of ways for you to justify why you didn't want it anyway. You see, we've got this thing called we see what we seek. If you are seeking reasons why you shouldn't make the change, you can bet your bottom dollar that you're going to find them presented to you left, right, and center. And it just keeps activating and giving you more proof that you are absolutely right not to make that change in the first place. The second one is the passive excuse, that life is happening to you. It's beyond your control. You'll say, oh, well, I got sucked in by the TV, or, I spent my time on social media, or the common one we hear all the time is time just got away from me. Now, again, this can be giving you permission to not make the change because you don't believe in yourself. You don't know how. You don't want to be the one that has to be responsible for the life circumstances that you currently have, because then you might feel ashamed, or then you might feel guilty. And then you've opened a whole other pot of emotional discomfort. The other thing here is it speaks to that lack of commitment to the change. It's something you've been toying with, but you've never made the decision just to make it happen. And without the commitment, you haven't confirmed yourself a strategy that would make that process a lot easier for you. So it's far easier just to keep using that excuse that time gets away, or you don't know where the time goes, or you've got too many other controls over your time that you don't have the time for yourself. The third excuse is the genetic excuse. You were born this way and can't possibly behave any differently. That's just how your family is. You know, my mum always said to me, "Oh, Louise, it's just puppy fat. You'll grow out of it. You're big boned. We're all big boned." And how do you think that played out for me? That played out in like over 30 years of eating disorders, right? Because it was such a program inside of me. The genetic story is super powerful, and if you allow it, it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Something else that I've seen with this pattern with genetics is there is sometimes a fear of disrespecting family history and family values if you go off and do something different. So if you were brought up with a very strong a family belief around, you know, community and love is very, very important and we don't need money, and you decide you want to go out and make a ton of cash, there can be this subconscious belief that you're disrespecting your family. So don't underestimate this one. It's really worth going into what patterns that you don't even see right now might you be repeating that comes from your parents, or maybe even your grandparents, or maybe further on than that. The fourth excuse is the victim excuse. Nothing is your fault. You can't help it. I'm sure that we've all been here. I know I used to very much be the victim. It gives you permission to put your current life outside of yourself. It's happened to you. It's not because of something that you have been doing. And it also helps us to seek external validation, which gives us permission to carry on doing what we are doing. What I'd like to tell you about being in that victim state is that so often that victim mentality comes from a space of having been hurt, and it's a protection. So be compassionate to yourself and to others if you hear the victim mentality, and just try and activate in them something that maybe they did before that they were really proud of. Maybe there's something that you did before that you're really proud of that you've forgotten about. Sometimes we just need to activate greater self-love. And from that place of self-love, we can make better choices. Number 5 is the everyone else excuse. It's okay because everyone else is doing it or not doing it. None of your other married friends are having sex anymore either. So again, this goes back to seeing what we seek, right? We're looking for other external circumstances where we can prove that what we're doing is what everybody else is doing. So why would we do anything different? It's like, this is a culture. I fit in this place. Remember, our mind likes to make sense of things. Our mind likes to see patterns. And so anywhere it feels unsafe, it's going to try and bring you back to a feeling of safety. So if you're scared about making a change, if you're worried about being judged, if you're worried about what you might lose, if you fear failure, if you fear ridicule, if you fear trolling, all those things, your safety mechanism will say, hey, look at all these other people that aren't doing that thing either. Let's be with them because they're safe and they're happy. Number 6 is the past president excuse. You've never been able to do it before. You've tried so many times. Nothing has worked. Why would it be any different now, right? And this is where you'll hear the same language coming out over and over again. You know, I'm really bad at time management. I'm never on time for anything. I have got a really bad memory. I've always looked this way. I've always done this thing. We become completely identified with the things that we've done in the past. It makes it feel like that's completely who we are. So it's a real challenge. And again, we activate the fear system. When we start to want to change, things happen in our body that says, we don't want to do this. This is not safe. Come back to what we know. So this is a powerful excuse for you because you don't want to make an idiot of yourself again. You don't want to get hurt again. You don't want to go through the process of realizing that you failed. Now, if any of you do journaling, how many times have you gone back into your journal and seen that you was writing the same thing a year ago and you're in exactly the same place? It's frustrating, but it's also really quite emotionally damaging to keep doing that same thing to ourselves. You know, we can't build forward when we're looking in the rearview mirror. We can take what we learned, we can take the lessons, and we can change something to move it forward. So really, really powerful one, the past president excuse, because you're identifying yourself with somebody that you were in the past, rather than saying, who do I need to be? And how do I activate greater necessity to make sure that I do this thing this time? Number 7, the how things are excuse. It's just the way things are. It's just the way that I was brought up. It's just the way the things are in this town, right? Again, super powerful. And that belief is going to be shared by most of the people that you know. So it makes it even more powerful and even more painful and risky for you to step outside of that. This is all to do with your subconscious programming. People say it without even thinking about it. Listen now even more closely to your parents' language and about where you can still hear their limitations coming out, and ask yourself, are you still living within any of those limitations? Have you put a ceiling on certain areas of your life where you have never actually thought about what would it look like to have more there? I talk about this so many times. Our beliefs, our subconscious beliefs, birth our expectations. If we want greater expectations in our life, if we want to achieve more and have more and be more, we need to create the new beliefs that support that, because the chances are we didn't get them from our conditioning, from our upbringing. So massive, massive one, number 7, is just the way things are. Please always challenge your conditioning, challenge your internal conversation. Just because you hear it, it doesn't mean it's true. And the final one is the done enough excuse. No one should ask you for more than you've already done. This can often come in with the victim mentality, the people that give, and then feel resentful that they've done it, that they've wasted their life, right? And why should anybody ask anything else from you? Oftentimes, the right choice is the hardest choice. It's leaving the relationship, it's moving town, it's changing the job, it's going from uncomfortable certainty into complete uncertainty, but with so much potential, right? But that jump is perhaps the biggest jump that you're ever going to make in your life. Now, because we are continually using these excuses in our general language, what we keep doing is we keep layering and magnifying our subconscious programs that are actually stopping us from making the move. It's all about being able to switch our conversation to something way more powerful, and I'm going to make sure I link it to another video to help you do just that. It's our play safe. It's this is who I am. But who are you really? Who do you want to be? What do you want to have? And can the way that you talk to yourself now, can you achieve that? Or do you need to change that internal language? Because here's the really cool thing. When you start to become aware of that internal language and you affirm something new and you take action on that, I talked about the 3 A's in one of my videos last week, you create new belief systems. Those new belief systems birth way higher, more enthralling expectations for you and for your life. Ultimately, what we're all trying to avoid is emotional discomfort. I fear being visible. I fear being ridiculed. I fear failure. I fear success. Actually, that's just an umbrella term. What we fear is the emotional discomfort that comes with that. We don't want to feel shame. We don't want to feel unloved. We don't want to be ridiculed. So it's not necessarily the fear of the thing that you think it is. It's what is the emotion that you're trying so hard to avoid underneath that? Because that emotion has been triggered probably from something that happened to you when you were really young, and yet it's still making decisions for you now and holding you back. If you'd like this and want to know more about how you can create your rich life, please be sure to check out the next video that I've lined up for you right here, and be sure to hit subscribe and make sure you hit the bell so that you get notified of my latest releases. See you next time.